Homestory Cup number 5.
Hey everyone, welcome to my first real interview. I had one with X-Lord, but now I'm here sitting together with Jeff, iNcontroL from Team EG. Nice to have you here, and nice that you took some time because I have pretty much a serious topic I would like to talk about, because there's always people everywhere talking about iNcontroL. You're like a special character. You've been playing StarCraft ages before, StarCraft 1. You played StarCraft 2, you still play StarCraft 2. You started to do some commentary, some hosting, and I would like to just talk a bit about it, like your future and what you think about your situation right now. And first of all, let's just talk about the Homestory Cup, your games. What expectation did you have when you just came to the Homestory Cup, and what happened in your group stage?
You know, to be honest, going into it, I had pretty high expectations. Last time in January when I had Thorzane, Sock, and then Nurchio in my group, it's not disheartening because you're a competitor, so you always kind of go, no, you can do it. You got a chance. But with that group, I was like, probably not. Sock's an amazing PvP player. Thorzane's Thorzane, and then Nurchio is kind of known for being extremely deadly. So this time around, I looked at it and I was like, okay, Real, Happy, and Rhett. Rhett is, it's hard to call him my nemesis because in order to say that, I would have to have beaten him a few times, but that's not the case. He's actually just kind of my big bully. Like, every time I hit him, he just murders me. And we've been doing that for years. Even in Brood War, he was absolutely unstoppable. TVZ, and I played Zerg at the time. So I kind of wrote that off. I was kind of like, okay, I'm going to give it my best shot. I've been playing really well PvZ, training with Gold and Sleep and some of these guys, Idra, and I've been doing okay. So, we'll see. But that went really poorly. And then I looked at my group and I said, okay, now I have Happy and I have Real. And I've heard about Happy, but I've never played him. But I played a lot with Braddock, Straylock, and other Eastern European Terrans, and they're kind of known for being similar. And I did quite well against them, so I thought I had an okay chance. And then against Real, I was kind of snapping my fingers about that because I think Real's a very good player, but I don't think, as far as Koreans go, I think he's one of the more beatable ones, except that his PvP is really, really good. I knew that about him because in several tournaments he's made deep runs almost entirely off of PvP. So I was kind of I was like 50-50 on that.
All right, so we had a group stage. You didn't manage to win a single best of 3. No. What were you feeling right after that?
Well, my last best of 3 was against Happy, and it was off stream. Both the games were pretty good, pretty back and forth. I killed his third both times. There was times where I felt like I could have won. But what everyone says about Happy is that his army control and really his how fast and how consistently he gets ghosts in the TVP matchup. And I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I play against Terrans that go ghosts, obviously, and I was like, shouldn't be that fast. But we're talking like minute 13, he's got 10 ghosts or something like that, and I've actually never seen that. It was the majority of his army, and the first couple times we fought, I was like, this should be easy, but he has such great control that they don't just show up, they don't die. He micros them back, he preserves them, he picks them up in medevacs. He does a really good job of keeping them alive, so his investment's worthwhile. And they were hard-fought games, but he was a class above. Just certainly, I could feel that. In each fight we had, I think I would show up with more stuff, but he'd come out of it significantly ahead, which meant that my micro and his are on different levels. His is far and away superior to mine. So to answer your question, how did I feel about group stage coming away from it? It was pretty... it was disappointing. It's weird to say disappointing because if we would have ended on the Rhett series, I'd be like crying and upset because that was just a murder. It was just terrible. But I felt like I had a pretty okay series with Real and a pretty okay series despite not winning a game against Happy. So I was okay because, again, I went into this group kind of feeling not really sure how I'm going to do. I don't know these guys as well. And I came away from it 1-6, which is not good, but the games were okay.
I'm checking all the comments every day whenever Homestory Cup is running. There are 32 players. All of them have like at least some awareness already because they're great players. I'm wondering, you're a self-confident guy, like in general, from nature. People like to see you because you just say what you think. You just say, yeah, I can win, and I like it personally because I think we need these guys to just bring some big stories, But I've also tracked a lot of comments, like people just tell me, or just tell the community, iNcontroL, whenever he's on a tournament, he says he's like confident about his group, about his shape in general. In the end, it comes out that you didn't manage to like advance the group, for example. So, do you probably, first of all, what about the self-confidence? Probably it gives you too much pressure, something like that. Just asking. On the other side, yeah, like, what do you think about it?
Well, as far as being a competitor and even just raw sports psychology, the confidence that people see from me and then the results thereafter, I actually think I come away, like if you completely measure it subjectively, I'm very humble. I look at the group and I say, I don't know, I'm like 50-50 that guy. That guy's way better than me and stuff like that. I say that all the time. But there are people that get upset because they're like, he talks about it like he has a chance against that player. Well, you're fucking right I talk about it like that way. If I was half as good as I am now, which would be really bad, I would still need to go into a tournament that I'm invited to and say, I stand a chance. I can compete with those guys. Because the tough part for me, too, is it's not just sports psychology for me. I actually do believe it. And if that rubs you the wrong way, that's totally fine. But at the end of the day, I go home, I practice, I do customs, I do ladder, I compete in smaller tournaments that don't get as much coverage, and I do okay. I beat Sleep at Lone Star. I compete with a lot of these guys, TLO, etc. And again, I'm not going to fire off I'm not going to name drop everybody, but the bottom line is, these are my peers. I do play with them, and I practice, and they ask me for practice not because it's a joke to them, but because I do okay. I'm not, but at the end of the day, I'm not one of the best by sure, results or confidence wise. So it's part that I have to go into a tournament thinking I can do it, because then maybe there's a chance I will. But then the other part, too, is a very big mix of frustration with me, because there's kind of a weird element to me, too. I get a lot of interviews. I get a lot of press. I'm on a lot of shows. So when I lose, people hear all the time, hey, Jeff, what happened in that tournament? But with Mana losing, what interview does Mana do where he has to explain how he didn't make it out of groups? Probably one or two here, and then that's it. But Mana's a DreamHack champion. I'm 10,000 miles away from that. Yet I'm going to get more publicity for my loss than Mana will. And I mean, that's something to think about. And I don't regret it, because at the end of the day, a big part of the reason why I'm invited to Homestory Cup, why I'm at these tournaments, it's certainly not results. It's because people care about what I do and they want to hear about it. And it would be really, really stupid and selfish of me to try and pretend that I could only take the good and not the bad. Like, at the end of the day, you will hear from me. If that rubs you the wrong way, it's because I'm publicized, and I'm thankful for it.
All right, that's honest. So what's next point? I think a lot of people are still, just started, like probably, I'm not totally sure, like 6 months ago, probably something like that. Like, hey, he's a good host. He's a cool guy to present esport in general. Probably his results are not that good to push esport itself. Right. Because we need more people, more casual people. We need good people to present stuff, present esport, present StarCraft 2. You're totally one of these guys. First of all, do you like it, and for what reasons?
I love it. I compete in debate. A lot of people know that. And I think really one of the only draws for me in debate was that I got to do public speaking. Speaking in front of an audience that is listening to you and cares about what you have to say is, for some people, it gives you that goosebumps. It gives you that really good feeling. And for me, that's a big thing. So people talk about when I introduced Thorzane at the DreamHack, and for me, that's like, I get a lot of buzz off that. I'm really excited about that. I think I performed well, as weird as that is to say, as a host. And I think at the end of the day, the other thing we have to look at too is, as pro gamers, our existence is based off of how well we can pay for our real life. And if I can host, if I can commentate, so that I could still earn enough time to try to compete, then that's what I'm going to do. I mean, a lot of people talk about, like, you don't have results. You're a great host. You're a good commentator. Why don't you just go full time doing that? And at the end of the day, I really like competing. And even if you think I don't have a legitimate chance, or I'm not good enough to try, I still have fun, and it's engaging for me to try. So even if I fall short in every tournament for the next 2 years, as long as people are willing to pay for me to try to do that, I'm going to do that. And on the flip side, it's not like I take that lightly. Like, I don't want to lose in the first rounds. I'm waiting for that one tournament where things click, my head goes well, and I beat the guys that I've been beating in practice, and I compete well, and I do well. And there's a lot of people that are waiting for that, and I know that when that does happen, they're going to be twice as excited as I am.
Whenever you read comments like, hey, he's a great host but a bad player, because we have a lot of these comments. Yeah. Like, I check Team Liquid, I see Reddit, and then I think about myself. I was a player back then in Warcraft 3. I was like kind of the emotional guy. So I hate losing. I hate having people around telling me, wow, that was bad. What do you think about it? Like, how do you feel? What's happening inside of you when you read stuff like that? You know, one side is like, wow, he's a great guy when he hosts, when he do commentary, when he does his show, when he's on State of the Game, whatever. On the other side, everyone is like disappointed about the results. What do you think about it? What does it do with your?
It's definitely, if you think about how the ocean works against rocks, like it can go on for a long time. It can kind of chip away at the rocks. It can pull sand and dirt down, and the rocks will still look the same and it'll still be there. But eventually, it does corrode and it does erode into the ocean, as it were. And that is going on to a certain extent. Like going into this year, 2011 was really rough on me because I read all those comments and a lot of times I responded. And even this year, I've opened my mouth up a few too many times. Like people are like, "You're fucking terrible," and you guys don't even really take practice that serious over there. And I'm like, no, we take practice super serious, and we're trying as hard as we can, which is true. But every time you argue that kind of stuff, you're allowing that comment to become a little bit more legitimate for you, and you get emotionally involved. And there's never going to be a return. The guy doesn't turn around and go, "Oh, I'm sorry. You do work hard. You're great." They don't do that. They just go, "No, where's your results?" So I'm learning how to handle it a lot better, but I think that transformation's been pretty big for StarCraft 2 players that were Brood War players in particular. I think it's weird. I think a lot about this, and there's still some growth to be had. There's still some learning to be had. I mean, even if you look very recently at the Total Biscuit comments about the house, the first thing I read, I was like, I'm going to unfollow him on Twitter. I'm going to talk about him on the show. Like, that's so unfair. We work really hard. Calling us a frat house is really offensive. But if I come out and say those comments and I do that, then people know that that's an emotional in on me. So then I'm going to hear it for the next year. So I'm not going to say my reaction was perfect because I still poked fun back at him, and that's not correct to do. But I'm trying to get to be a better player in the sense that I'm in a place where at the end of the day, the reason I get made fun of is because a lot of the people that are legitimately upset is because they think that if they were in this position, they would be working twice as hard and they would be 500 times more involved. And I'm not going to tell them that they're wrong, but what I would tell them is that I am working really hard, and I know how privileged I'm in. So when I see those comments,
Wait, give me a second. There's a reason why you're here.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. I am trying, and I do work hard at this, and with commentating and hosting, like I feel like that feeds my ability to then again have more time to work harder. Because if the catered guys asked me, they said if this was just events based, or not events based, but results based, you probably wouldn't be here, and they're absolutely right. I mean, at the end of the day. 2010 top 4 at one MLG. No, that doesn't carry me to 2012. So I'm still pursuing those results, and as far as the comments go, there's a bit of truth to them. So that's where it hurts a little bit, but I'm getting better at blocking it.
So I'm thinking of the point where it might happen that the community can decide if you stop playing and being a host or a manager, stuff like that. But I'm wondering if there's a chance that the community can change your mind, or is it you who decides to stop playing? Because in the end, the community, these guys, you are the guys who gives us a job. Because without the community, we can't pay our bills, stuff like that. So is it just you to decide if you stop gaming, or would you say, okay, there's so much negative feedback for your game and so much positive stuff about hosting, being a manager, probably promoting players, tell them what to do, how to present themselves, to have characters like you, because we need characters like you. What do you think?
You're absolutely correct. To a certain extent, I think a lot of like Kurt Russell and the Gladiator, where the mob, you can hate it or you can love it, but at the end of the day, they actually dictate where you're going to go. And they certainly have the power to be like, we don't care about you as a player at all. And if Homestory Cup doesn't gain in viewership because of me, if people don't follow my results at an MLG, if they don't care if I'm in a lineup for EG in a clan war, then that's a time when certainly not only does EG management, but myself, I sit down and I say, well, shoot, it would be really selfish to think that I could keep doing this only for myself. I'm not here only for myself. I have a list of sponsors that matter. I have a fiance that needs, support. I have my own happiness to maintain. If I'm playing in a black hole where only I count for myself, then that's not good. So it does matter. It does weigh in. And what I can say is that for right now, every time I go to an event, I still get 20, 30 emails. I still get 20, 30 PMs where people are saying, we're rooting for you. We care about you. We want you to do well. When I lose, people say, keep your head up. We're still rooting on for you. And that means a lot. It goes a long ways. Because, again, if I lose this tournament, and I hear nothing, and nobody cares, and you guys don't do interviews with me because it doesn't matter, and my team's like, I hope you liked your trip to Germany or something like that, then that's a dark, sad place to be in, because that means that you have fallen completely off the map, and now you need to look for where do people care about you. I mean, look at streaming. If you're not a personality, like we have Koreans that have won Code S's that have 700 people watching their stream, And then we have guys that make jokes. I'm not going to count myself outside of that. I'm a big streamer as well. That have 3,000, 6,000 viewers, and that's because at the end of the day, people want to be entertained. This is a game, and at the most root level, winning is extremely important, but so is entertaining. And I can contribute to the community not just by winning, but also by hosting and commentating. So, or like you said, just having a job in esports, and I think that's what everyone wants at the end of the day. Everybody here at Homestory Cup, even if they're just producing, they're a part of esports, and they have a passion for that. So, for me personally, the community does carry that weight, and as far as I'm concerned, it's a big vote. So, when I play, I gauge what's going on, and when I'm hosting, I gauge what's going on.
All right, let's talk a bit about the future, your aims. So we've been talking about the results we had. What are your next steps? What are you gonna do? Do you gonna see great hosting at DreamHack again? Because personally, it was the best hosting I've ever seen. Want to mention that. What are your tournaments you would like to attend, and what are your results you predict for yourself, or would be a result you would be happy with for the future?
That's a great question. As far as tournaments to attend to compete in, MLG is a good bet. We have conflicting sponsors, so the opportunity to host or commentate for them is not on the board, which I think is good because as a domestic tournament, it's really important that I represent myself there. So as far as like a performance that I would be happy with, making championship bracket. And as far as we go back on that comment where it's like, there's going to be people that hear me say that, and they're like, you lost in the first couple rounds of the last tournament. They're absolutely correct. I did. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to stop trying, and that's the kind of confidence I want to have, is to say I can make it there, I will make it there. As far as other events, I really like that so far in Europe, like Homestory Cup's been where I've been competing, but at the same time I get to commentate, which is a lot of fun, hang out with some of my best friends in the whole world. It's been wonderful working with DreamHack. So I think there's going to be a pretty strong mix of both competing, hosting, and commentating coming up, and that always begs the question, when am I going to do one or the other? For right now, I can do all the above. And as far as practice goes and working on better results than this, it's just going to be kind of like going home and working on more of the same, but at the same time probably issuing more of a strict policy of like custom games with the team. We called it EG practice. That was I really felt a surge in skill after that, but then we hit tournament season, so a lot of guys kind of didn't feel comfortable broadcasting their practice or playing so many custom games, because if you play too many custom games with your potential opponents, that's really dangerous. You're basically feeding them information on yourself. But at the same time, I think a more healthy mix of that will do better for me. And I think that's the future.
I have one more question. Can you describe in a few words, just a few words, why?
That'd be the best challenge ever, yeah.
All right. Why you're so passionate about esport? Like, why do you do it?
You're gonna limit me to words. Okay.
You have time. You have time.
Okay. I really feel a big part of the reason why this is so important to me is it goes back a long time. Like my parents, I mean, everyone has a sob story like this, but my parents split up and divorced, and that was a really tough time for me. And during that time, I would just bury my head in StarCraft, and I had a team. I had guys that really followed me and really counted on me, and it was just like this incredible sense of both competitive nature, but also like camaraderie. It's imagine, as terrible as it is to draw this comparison, is like war. Soldiers come back and they're like brothers because they've been through something. So for me, StarCraft was that. And from that point forward, I felt the full spectrum of growth where it was like we would play, 5 people would watch. Thank you. MC's so good. What good hustle at him too. And then I would do, I would play it at WCG, 5 people would watch. And then StarCraft 2 pops out, and the GameStop I was working at, it's like, hey, come do an autograph signing. I was like, this will be embarrassing. Nobody's going to care. And actually, 60 people showed up specifically for my autograph. And this was at a time when, up until that point, I've signed 5 autographs, and they were for a TV show that I did. So that's when I kind of started to get grabbed into the you're actually kind of a spokesperson and a role model, and then it just starts to engage everything. In esports, I'm here in Germany, in Krefeld. I wouldn't be here for anything else. I've been to Sweden. I've stayed at people's houses. I've been to Korea. It's opened so many doors that I have, I'd be dumb not to love it, and then I have a responsibility to try to share that with as many people as possible, because if I don't do that, I'm being selfish.
Jeff, thank you for the lovely and interesting interview. Yeah. I wish you best of luck for your future. Whatever you're going to do, I would love to see you wherever I can. Thank you.
Thanks, man.